Okay, I have another camera set up, so I'm going to switch to that so that we can take a look at what the headlight bucket looks like inside. So it actually has the original fastener holding it on, which is basically a flathead screw. I normally don't replace it with a flathead screw. I replace it with basically an Allen bolt. Wow, it still has the original gasket. These are so hard to find. It looks great. So this is the headlight bucket rim. Here is the original gasket, headlight gasket. Most people just use like window gasket now. So here is they have a flasher relay in the bucket. I guess I've never seen that. There is an independent fuse right here. Normally that independent fuse is for the spotlights. This is the distribution panel. So you can see something fried right here. Normally this is the ignition. So this goes right to the coil. This one should. This normally goes right to the starter button. And in this case, it doesn't necessarily go to the starter button. There is an ignition toggle switch that's on the dash that interrupts it. Again, this is the distribution panel down below. This is the fuse panel. They, like I said before, it is not the electronics is not the strongest feature of these bikes. We will reuse it, so it is what it is. Going forward, I'm going to start using different types of fuse panels. I have one that I'm going to try that will probably fit in here. I think it's about 105 millimeters from this hole of this screw to this hole of this screw that hold that panel in. So I think I found one that's pretty close. So I'm going to take the headlight off. These headlight sockets are really kind of nice because they're so flat. And I don't know about this bulb. I mean, it looks really new actually, so I'm assuming it is. I'm assuming it's newer. I'm assuming it's not. So let us start removing it. These are such, these screws are so hard to find. I have a box of them though. And I mean, these fuse panels are so problematic. You can look at them, they will look fantastic, and there will be a short in them and they will not work. So I'm going to try my bigger screwdriver to see. No, that won't fit. Before I lose that, let's put that in there. I am going to squirt some Freol in there. Oh gosh, let me put that light down. Well, wow, that's awful. This thing just broke, so this thing was so messed up anyway. Wow. That's the thing with these things, they're so fragile and it is so corroded. So, okay. That's awful. So, yeah, there were huge problems in there. So, let's take a look at the distribution panel. Okay, right now I'm on the fence if I'm going to use a new type of fuse panel or the original. The original I'd have to buy, and I'm telling you what, they're like $100 a piece, and you do not know if they're going to work or not. So it sounds like I'm talking myself into not using it, and probably I won't. And you know what? I want something a little bit more robust. I want it to work. Um, I've taken out so many of these that one of the circuits will have a short in it, and it's such a problem. Just, I mean, it's if you want to spend all of your time chasing electrical gremlins, you can. It is. I am really uncomfortable about that. Okay, so this looks okay. These are the horn connections right here. And let me get these screws and nut. Yeah, there's burnt wiring. Nervous. It's really not worth it. And ultimately, you really want a bulletproof. You want a bulletproof motorcycle. So that's why even the old wiring, I don't even think using it. And there is no need. Whoops. there is no need to even mess with it. Wiring shouldn't necessarily last 50 years anyway. So there's one aspect of this I didn't talk about, and that is sometimes if you replace something, if you have an extra part or something, or if you get something, switching it out, like let's say the generator. Let's say that you want to change the generator. There is actually a solution for changing the generator and putting an alternator. So if you take that solution, you remove the generator, you actually remove the voltage regulator. You don't need that as well. And sell those on eBay. So the bracket, I think the bracket is about $130. Is a special bracket. If you go to crustycycle.com, they'll probably be able to hook you up. I think you can buy it through them as well. But if you just Google Scrambler Cycler, I'll try to post a link on that. The bracket to put an alternator on it, and it's a really tiny alternator, like for a Kubota or something. And I've got a couple bikes that have it. There has one, so you can see right up under here, there is an alternator. There's not a generator. If you look back on the back of the rear fender, there is no voltage regulator. So this is a buddy of mine. Hopefully it's going to be done in the next 3 months. I have the tank done for it. I'm changing the tank, and it runs beautifully. It'll be really just kind of taken apart and rebuilt. I got to change the seat. That's an awful seat, but great running bike. So going back to this, it is, like I said, this is the flasher. This is the headlight. The headlight connector. These are the yeah, this is so original. It's because even the markings, see how these are marked with, that's like original wiring. So I'm assuming that it was messed up a little bit. Somebody's been in here a little bit, not a lot. I'm going to keep the flasher relay too, so you just never know. I use a more modern one. You can see this. This is I'm going to call it basically a rubber gasket that it just goes around the whole, just protects the wire. So it's broken. I have some more of those. Those are really readily available too. So, no issues there getting that. Kind of slow tearing this apart. Obviously, when we're putting it back together, it'll be really slow actually, because we're going to you just have to really go very slow, methodically. You really installed appropriately, and you really only want to do it kind of once. Now I'm saying that, and there are going to be times when the The thing to do is do it 2 or 3 times when the bike is apart so that you don't have to do it 2 or 3 times after the bike is totally assembled. And that's my rule of thumb for everything except the lower half of the motor. Because that one, it's we're going to kind of see anyway. If we once it is generally speaking, we have any type of play side to side in the connecting rods, up and down play, that is not okay. So we will address it at that point. I'm just generally trying to feed these wires through. I'm going to try to get it so I just don't really have to cut up this wiring harness. So not that we're going to reuse it, but you know what? I mean, people sell these wiring harnesses on eBay, and I don't think I ever really would buy one, but some people want it so, you see, here's something that's kind of, people want something so original that they're willing to do that, and that's fine. It's I don't mind putting the modern wire in and making it so that it is bulletproof. And generally speaking, these are for the spotlights. I'm going to cut that out because that's actually aftermarket. So we are going to, this thing has been taped together, really. That's kind of weird. Yeah. And so here's one of those rubber gaskets. There's another rubber gasket in here. That's a piece of tape. Obviously, I keep the fuses. This headlight booklet looks fantastic, actually. I mean, it looks, I'll get those. It looks, they're really going to polish up beautifully. So let's get some of this picked up. And so looking through this. So we have this. The light. Yeah, this is normally for spotlight. The blue is. The yellow is for the rear tail light. Here is a very, very, very old 50-year-old wire tie. And looks kind of cool. Let's pop it out. type of wire tie. Kind of cool looking. We'll keep it. This is the push button ignition switch. I'm going to install it. I just like him one on the dash, but we'll keep this one too. We'll probably be using this to test it, because once I get everything stripped off, if the thing will turn over, if the motor will turn over. Okay. Yes, they use an old-time BMW in the turn signals. And this is really super old. So very interesting. Really interesting. So we are still working our way through. So I am going to just trim off these. So I'm not going to be reusing this. It's, but it's not getting thrown away. Let's try to get this out. So this is the brake lever. And I'm telling you, this brake lever is going to look spectacular. So this is what it looks like. Let me just do a quick brush on it. Okay. All I did was wire wheel, and I have a buffing wheel. This will look better than new. It's really solid. Than new. The brake cable, it's nice because it's wire it's wired up so that it will, when you depress, which is nice. And I've been cut anyway, so we will not be using it. Some things I repair, some things I don't. I don't really repair brake cables. It's so cheap and it's just so solid, so reliable. So it is this connector we're going to keep. Yeah, the brake cable adjusters are nice to have. Adjuster. That is a 14. Okay, the cover is broken on this side. I wonder if I can get those off. Let's take the handlebars off while we are here. And it's, I guess the better reason is that just so I know where they're at when I need them. I get that under there? Yeah, looks like it. I cannot believe there's this much dust. But if it's from Arizona, yes.